Imagine waking up to find your pristine backyard turned into a crime scene, courtesy of the very people sworn to protect your neighborhood. Footprints smeared in mud, plants crushed like they owed someone money, and a gate lock sliced clean through, all because some clipboard-wielding busybody decided your life needed auditing. But here's the twist. This wasn't random vandalism. It was an inside job by the HOA queen herself, and it was about to unravel her entire reign of petty terror. I always knew the Willow Creek subdivision was a powder keg disguised as a picket fence paradise. You know the type, cookie-cutter houses with manicured lawns, where the biggest drama should be whose dog pooped on the sidewalk. But no, our homeowners association turned it into a dystopian nightmare, enforcing rules like no visible trash cans on Tuesdays with the zeal of a cult leader. Me? I'm Alex Rivera, a quiet IT consultant who works from home, fixes neighbors' Wi-Fi for free, and generally stays off the radar. Or at least, I tried. Rumors had been swirling about me for months. Whispers that I was hiding something behind my fence, that my backyard upgrades were suspicious. I ignored them, figuring silence was the best armor. Little did they know, I was watching, documenting, and waiting for the perfect moment to flip the script. It started innocently enough, or so I thought. Last spring, I added a modest patio to my yard, nothing extravagant, just a spot to grill burgers and sip beer after a long day debugging code. I jumped through all the hoops, permits from the city, inspections passed with flying colors. But Evelyn Hargrove, our HOA president, the quintessential Karen with her bob haircut, pearl earrings, and that perpetual smirk of self-righteousness, decided it was her hill to die on. We must maintain standards, she'd coo at meetings, her voice dripping with fake concern, as if my patio was single-handedly tanking property values. I'd skipped a few of her voluntary events, like the annual flowerbed weeding extravaganza, because, honestly, who has time for that nonsense? Apparently, that made me public enemy number one. The day I discovered the intrusion, I was nursing a coffee, scrolling through my security app out of habit. The footage hit me like a slap, 3 figures scaling my back fence like bumbling burglars in khakis. Leading the pack was Evelyn, her sensible loafers slipping on the wood, clipboard tucked under one arm. "Hurry up, Gerald. Martha," she hissed, her voice tinny through the camera's mic. "He's at work. This yard screams violations. I can smell it." Gerald, the vice president with his potbelly and comb-over, grunted as he hoisted himself over, landing with a thud that crushed my newly planted herbs. Martha, the secretary who always nodded like a bobblehead, followed, her phone out snapping pics like a tabloid paparazzo. They prowled around, poking at my patio with pens, muttering gems like, "This concrete looks too fresh, probably no permit," from Martha, and Gerald's brilliant addition, "Yeah, and those chairs? Not regulation color." Evelyn, ever the ringleader, waved her clipboard triumphantly. "We'll slap him with fines that'll make his eyes water." Non-team players like him drag us all down. They didn't touch the patio much, but oh, the collateral damage. A solar lantern kicked over, tomato vines snapped, and the gate lock, they clipped it with what looked like garden shears from hell, leaving it dangling like a defeated flag. 15 minutes of chaos, and they slunk away, congratulating themselves on a job well done. I replayed the video 3 times, my blood boiling but my mind sharpening. This wasn't just nosy neighbors. This was trespassing, destruction, and a blatant abuse of whatever power they thought their laminated badges granted. I printed screenshots, gathered my permits, itemized the damages, $150 for the lock, $80 for plants, petty cash for the lantern, and started a file. Thick, organized, irrefutable. While they played sheriff, I was building a case that would make a lawyer weep with joy. The confrontation came the next evening at the HOA's weekly gripe session in the community clubhouse. I strolled in mid-meeting, manila envelope in hand, as Evelyn droned on about someone's overgrown hedges being a community disgrace. Heads turned as I cleared my throat. "Evelyn," I said, my voice steady, "you and your dynamic duo owe me an explanation for yesterday's little adventure in my yard." She froze, her pearl clutching literal as her hand flew to her necklace. "Excuse me?" We were conducting an inspection. The room murmured, a mix of confusion and curiosity. I slapped the prints on the table, clear shots of them clambering over, trampling plants. "Inspection? Looks more like breaking and entering to me." "And here's the kicker," I added, dropping the permit copies like mic drops. "Everything's legal. But your inspection left me with a busted lock and dead basil." Gerald turned beet red, stammering, "We thought. Rumors said." Martha chimed in weakly, "It's for the greater good." Evelyn recovered with her signature doublespeak. "You can't film us without consent. That's an invasion of privacy." Couldn't help but chuckle. "On my property? Without my consent? Pot, meat kettle, Evelyn. This is going to the cops, and court if needed." I turned on my heel, leaving them sputtering, the room buzzing like a hive. But I wasn't bluffing. Straight from there, I headed to the police station, evidence in tow. Officer Ramirez, a no-nonsense guy with a mustache that screamed, "Seen it all," flipped through the photos. "HOA folks. Huh? Bold move. Cutting a lock in daylight." He leaned back, smirking. "We've fielded complaints about Hargrove before. Fines for silly stuff, like banning holiday lights too early. But this? Solid evidence. Trespass. Vandalism, you pressing charges." "Absolutely," I said, filling out the forms. No rush of vengeance, just cold calculation. I'd seen enough online forums to know HOAs like ours thrived on intimidation. Time to turn the tables. Later that afternoon, Detective Lena Voss called, asking to survey the scene. We met in my yard as the sun dipped low. She pointed at the mangled sprinkler. "They stomped this right after hopping the fence, matches the timestamp. Then the lock, bolt cutters, clean cut. Amateur hour." I walked her through it, adding, "They weren't even subtle about fabricating violations. Never asked permission, just assumed their HOA badge was a golden ticket." Voss nodded, jotting notes. "HOAs have rules, but not above the law. This crosses into criminal territory. No shield for that." As she left, I felt the first twinge of satisfaction. The whispers in the neighborhood, they'd soon turn to roars. Word spread like a virus. By morning, Evelyn was door-knocking, playing the victim card. I overheard her at the Packett's porch. "It's harassment. Someone's out to sabotage our efforts for a beautiful community." Oh, the irony, the saboteur calling foul. That evening, an emergency board meeting packed the clubhouse with curious residents. I sat quietly, letting Evelyn open with her scripted defense. "Accusations have been leveled, but rest assured, we act solely per bylaws for everyone's benefit." A voice from the back, old Mr. Jenkins, the guy who wore Hawaiian shirts year-round, piped up. Bylaws say climb fences and wreck gardens? That's rich. Evelyn bristled, her smile cracking. We had suspicion of non-compliance. I stood then, calm as a cucumber. Suspicion? You mean no facts? No notice? Just destruction. I passed around printouts of the footage. Gasps rippled. This isn't isolated, I continued. They fine us for mailbox tilts but ignore their own protocols. I filed charges, and here's a petition for city review under Code 12-5, abuse of power. Evelyn's face paled to ghost white. This is outrageous. We're volunteers. Martha tried redirecting. Let's focus on positives. But the room erupted. Where do I sign? Called Mrs. Lopez from next door. By meeting's end, 25 signatures, enough to force an audit. Evelyn stormed out, muttering about ungrateful residents. But the tide had turned. 2 days later, Voss updated me. They confessed to entry but claimed implied authority. No proof, though. City's eyeing charges. At least civil. Then the bombshell. Lock was cut with cutters. Confess it to felony destruction. I hung up, grinning. The city auditor arrived midweek, poring over HOA records. Revelations poured out. Evelyn issuing solo fines. Unauthorized entries on 2 other properties. One family fled town over it. Gerald distanced himself. I thought we were just peeking. Martha whined. She said it was legal. The board got slapped with violations. Enforcement frozen pending hearing. Neighbors shared war stories. Fines for ugly doormats. Denied appeals. The miffed laughter in those tales? Pure catharsis. Court loomed, my folder bulging with evidence. Evelyn called days before. Voicemail pleading, let's settle amicably for the community. Translation, save my skin. I ignored it. Hearing day, I suited up. She arrived disheveled, Gerald lurking like a guilty shadow. The judge, stern as steel, heard my rundown, then grilled her. You entered without consent. Damaged property. All under false pretenses. Evelyn blustered. HOA covenants allow enforcement. Judge shut her down. Covenants aren't keys to kingdoms. You're liable. Restitution ordered. Injunction against future trespasses. But the real gut punch? City's ballot for board dissolution. My barbecue that weekend? Overflowing neighbors toasting to the end of tyranny. Post-hearing. Evelyn ghosted. Her yard weeds overtaking like karma's garden. Gerald quit citing stress. Martha clung on but faced icy stares. The oversight panel reversed bogus fines. Mr. Thompson got back $900 for a non-standard bird feeder. The Kim family reclaimed costs for forced fence repaint. But questions nagged. Why my yard specifically? The patio was legit. I dug deeper, requesting HOA minutes. Buried in a transcript, vague talk of easement opportunities on the east side my lot. County records revealed a rejected proposal 2 years back. HOA wanted a community path slicing through backyards, including mine, for a fancy greenway. Denied for no input. The patio blocked their phantom route. It clicked. They sought dirt to force corrections, claiming land as common. They'd pulled it on another owner who bolted. I shared with Voss at the clubhouse. Not just trespass, she said. Eyes narrowing. Attempted fraud if they faked violations for gain. Emails subpoenaed. Evelyn schmoozing a developer for a luxury trail, promising my yard. He's not cooperative. We'll handle discreetly. One read. Developer bailed. Providing proof. Charges escalated. Fraud. Conspiracy. Media frenzy. HOA boss in land grab scandal. Headlines with fence climbing stills. Neighbors formed. East Side Alliance. Meeting in my yard. Chairs circling like a rebellion council. City drafted reforms. Mandatory mediation for boundary issues. Trial set. Evelyn lawyered up, claiming community intent. Emails betrayed her. Power plays for influence. Prelim hearing. Judge shredded her dismissal motion. This reeks of deceit. Gerald and Martha pled down. Evelyn fought on. Deluded. Neighborhood bloomed. Chats over fences. Kid playdates. Newsletter now event invites. No threats. I replanted. Adding a sign. Private haven trespassers prosecuted. Voss dropped by. She's facing 4 counts. You sparked change. I offered veggies. She quipped. Run for office? Nah, I said. I prefer winning from the shadows. Trial day. Damp April courtroom. Packed. Prosecution timeline demolished her entry. Damage. Developer ties on screen. Judge clarified. Promising others land? That's fraud. My testimony. Factual. No flair. Evelyn's? Rambling excuses. Implied permission. Judge. From ghosts. Jury out 4 hours, guilty all around. Convictions. Trespass. Destruction. Abuse. Fraud. Penalties. Restitution. Service. Leadership ban. Civil suit followed. Uncovered embezzlement, dinners on dues. Cousins' contracts. Settlement. Refunds galore. Transparency portal mandated. I skipped sentencing. Victory was in the air. Neighborhood thawed. Sunflowers bloomed. Bike races roared. Mr. Jenkins gifted a plaque for unmasking the clipboard crusader. As I lounged on my patio, projector flickering an old comedy, neighbors laughing sans fear. It hit. We didn't just beat a bully, we reclaimed sanity. But here's the lingering question. In a world where rules mask control freaks, was Evelyn the villain, or just a symptom of a system that lets petty tyrants thrive? True or false, HOAs do more harm than good?